This is the battle of the remote controls when it comes to trying to adapt remotes for RC cars. This one's for a monster truck, and I've already taken it apart, but I just have this. It's much bigger, so I thought, okay, this is cool. I have plenty of space to work with in case I need to put stuff inside, which I usually would. So I opened it up and took out the guts of it. And what you end up having is, let's get this centered a little bit better. That's the battery case. There's the circuit board. And then you have the assembly for the throttle, which is there, otherwise known as the gas. And then this is for the steering. So far so good, and like most of these remotes, it has potentiometers inside for the steering and the acceleration. Well, first thing I did was I took a look at the put a multimeter and checked the resistance across the potentiometer, and was getting really kind of weird readings. Not unusual because it's in circuit, so there could be stuff downstream here that's affecting the values. But it means that in order to take accurate measurements off of these potentiometers, you're going to have to take it out of circuit. In other words, desolder something. So of the two, the one for the acceleration was easier to take out. There was 3 points somewhere. I think, yeah, they're right here. And I have that documented, of course. Write down what you unsolder so you know you can resolder it. So I took that potentiometer out of circuit. So far, so good. Now, one of the things I noticed was that the brand of this is a jerk fan brand. Now, those who are into designing guitar pedals and other things for musicians might recognize this brand because they are often used in musical stuff. The reason they are is because this is a logarithmic potentiometer, not a standard linear potentiometer. So let's take a quick look at what. Let me get a piece of paper here. A quick look at the difference between a linear and a logarithmic. And my high school math doesn't hold up too well, so my graph might not look right. But a standard potentiometer, roughly, this is ideal case, has a line like that, right? So down here, it's at 0 volts. Up here, it's at positive volt. Let's call this positive 5 volts. So on one limited 0, one limited 5, because potentiometers are voltage dividers. They have you set in power, you have ground, and you have the center wiper, which takes the current value. So then the center would be approximately 2.5 volts. So it's linear. So from 0 to center is 2.5. From center up to that is 5. Okay, so far so good. A logarithmic potentiometer goes more like this. Okay, so it's 0 volt up here, 5 volt up here, and midpoint might be whatever. It might actually be like 1.5 volts. So the way that it behaves as you move it, as you turn it, in this case in a potentiometer, these typical ones you're turning, the ranges are different. So if it's a logarithmic, and again, I forget if this is the right logarithmic code or not, but you get the idea. It's a curve versus a straight line. That's the important part. So when you're doing like a digital potentiometer, you can't just say, well, okay, if it's a 100-step device, you can't say at step 50, it's in the middle, and 0 is not 100 max. Can't do that, right? So this is a drag. Now, where did logarithmics come from? Well, most of them you'll see them in audio applications because of the way the human ear works. The human ear's sensitivity changes over time. So they came up with logarithmic stuff. and a lot of this is in a volume control in like a stereo system or whatnot, or for a musical instrument. So at lower volumes, the ear hears, I can't remember if it's more or less change. Less change, higher volumes, more. No, it's the opposite. Lower volumes, it hears those changes better, and upper volumes, it senses the changes less. So that's the benefit of the log. Now, here's where it really sucks from an adaptation standpoint. Is if it was a linear potentiometer, there are digital potentiometers, DPOTs as I call them, which are controlled by a microcontroller, whatever, and it's very straightforward, and they're available in dual inline package formats. In other words, something you could solder. I took a look to see if I could find a similar thing in logarithmic, and the problem I saw, again and again, the only ones that I saw either being made or stocked, and I need to look more, but I'm not confident, all of them are surface mount. So they're all basically unhand solderable by any person who doesn't have a lot of patience like myself. I do not do work with surface mount stuff pretty much at all. I buy it. Already done. So this is a big problem. If this thing is going to require a surface mount digital potentiometer, it becomes a much more complicated project because I have to either find or design the board and have the board manufactured, etc., etc., etc. And at the end of the day, none of it may work anyway. So really at this point, unless something magical happens with, if somebody has any better ideas, this one's pretty much dead in the water. I don't really think that I'm going to be able to adapt this proportional controller because of the logarithmic stuff. And the transmitter is a black box, so how it's reading things and can you override it and all that stuff is not going to happen. So not really good news on this front. This is going to be back burner at best from a research standpoint because I got a whole lot of other stuff in the way. So there we go. Not great news.